Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and all variations thereof, and welcome back. I apologize for having to slide into my chair after 10 minutes of me faffing around grabbing a cup of tea. Yes, welcome everybody, welcome my friends, welcome to Session 51 of Shadows and Sorcery. We have exceeded the half a century mark. Or something along those lines. Yeah, welcome everybody. We have a full party today, which makes a difference. Something to be celebrated.
Sorry.
Sorry, I've got a hair appointment. Laters.
Fuck you.
No.
Sorry,
I'm playing
you
Power Wash
stay.
Simulator.
You stay here now. You don't get to leave.
But I have so many things to finish.
From the floor.
Oh God. Anyway, welcome, ladies, gentlemen, all variations thereof. Hi, Sliver in the background, who's also joining us for this session by accident. Yes, welcome everybody. Welcome to my players, Elfie, Lydia,
Hi.
Lying, and Zarian, who are all joining us today. It feels nice to have a full party once again.
I'm sorry.
You'll regret that phrase momentarily, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. So,
Flashbang.
who wants to do the recap?
You know, who hasn't done the recap in a while?
You, apparently.
No, the DM, let's go!
I did it last session. It's your turn, Zarian. You spoke
the
up
rule
first.
is the first
Talking
person
about-
that talks does it, so...
Yep.
I never
Yeah,
remember
stepped
this
into that.
rule. We got to the city, we met someone, they're important. They looked over the potions that we had left over from curing that crow. They were like, yep, shit's fucked, the Carnifet wants that. I want to leave the city. We're now helping them leave the city.
I'm
Not-
the bait.
Quite what
Shop
happens.
exploded. The ship?
Like,
shop
here's the thing. You guys do a brief summary, and then I do the actual recap, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
fine.
fine.
You want a quick sketch of the Mona Lisa? Tell me before.
Basically, all of us are neurodivergent. Do not expect us to remember anything.
I mean,
Fair point.
you know, I can hope. Anyway.
No, I was like fucking tired last session, so I couldn't remember.
No,
all.
that's fair. That's fair. Last we left off, our party of kind of just generally tired people arrived at the essentially departed for and arrived at the city of Velostov, a dwarven city deep in the northern reaches of the continent of Rudavi. This city happens to be Darren's hometown, as it turns out. And because of that, Darren is a little bit skittish about the whole thing.
Skittish isn't quite the word I would use.
Terrified is the word I
Constantly
used.
screaming internally.
Yeah, exactly. But because of this whole situation, Darren is a little on edge, and has been searching for a figure in, shall we say, Velostov society known as Degra Malavicta, a alchemist of some sort, who essentially has been hiding out in a specific district of Velostov, because they are being hunted by a criminal organization. Yes. So, when we last left off, Degra Malavicta had impressed upon you, Darren, the importance of getting the fuck out of there. As was kind of evidenced by the fact that they were living in, like, out of their workshop, and they had been doing so for what seemed like multiple weeks at that point. To the point where they didn't have much in the way of general cleaning facilities, and it was getting bad. So you have agreed to assist Degra in vacating the property, the premises, as soon as possible. And to do so, in order to aid, you have said that you will essentially, like, pose as them for a essentially a diversionary tactic to get them out of the city before the Carnifex acknowledges the fact that they are making their way out. And in order to do this, you have essentially promised to be the diversion. So, with that being said, it is early-ish morning, the next morning, when you awaken, feel somewhat rested, and decide to gather yourselves together and put together a plan, if you will. So, without further ado, where is everybody?
I am in the tavern where we stayed the night.
I am waiting on GM.
That too.
Well, you'll be waiting on GM for a little bit longer.
Are you building?
I'm building, yes.
I see.
I think I'm in the end as well.
Okay. Where are you, Prod?
I think I'm in a hole.
Okay.
It's
When are
really
you not?
Prod is really tall, and we've just entered a dwarven city. So
Yes.
he spent his whole time like crouched over. He's been looking
It's
kind of at his
not.
It's a
I've
dwarven
spent the whole time
city,
in the
but
world.
it's still like a city. So, like, going into specific shops is
have
like...
you never seen a dwarven city? We love vaulted ceilings.
Yeah, there's like a
Yeah,
lot
I've
of
been-
vaulted ceilings.
I was invited into this grandma's house, basically, because, like, so I'm Callist, right? So, like, I went to the tavern, not the tavern, well, it's kind of a tavern if you think about it, the temple, and I made friends with this old lovely lady, well, not lady, dwarves' genders are weird, and then she invited me home for tea, and her house is really small, right? It's literally just like a hole. So now I've been sitting in this old woman's living room for the past 8 hours looking at photo albums of her grandkids.
Okay, so let's shine a little bit of light on this subject. About an hour after you lost the rest of the party, you got a little sidetracked, going off into like a little market stall, and when you turned around, Darren had gone, and the rest of the party had gone as well.
Oh.
And you were kind of left standing there, like, what? So you wandered around a few districts. Eventually, you came across this old lady carrying a big empty basket, and holding in her hands a cracked, broken pair of thick-lensed glasses. And she was kind of tottering home, kind of with one hand out, trying to figure out where she was going. She accidentally put her hand against your chest plate, and in your infinite wisdom, knowing that the elderly must be assisted, Prod, you offered Glydia Dolver your assistance in returning her to her home, or returning them to their home. Dwarves' genders, they're not really a thing. This dwarvish, shall we say, matron, for the sake of convenience, has thick, bushy eyebrows, a big, sort of bulbous nose. She's short, squat, and what one might call joyfully rotund to a certain degree. She looks like a great-great-great-great-grandmother, and she lives that part, essentially. And this lady also has this massive white beard. This matron, they have this massive white beard. You see like silver rings that tie parts of it together. There's like silver chains that connect from the beard to the glasses that she's holding in her hand. And they are just matronly in the extreme, for want of a better word. And you accompany them home, and you spend an evening with Glydia Dolver in front of the fireplace, chatting. She has like 17 different photo albums, and she seems to be able to go for hours. And eventually, you manage to extricate yourself from this situation, if you will, but not before you find out a few key pieces of information. Now, I want you to roll me an intelligence check to see what you can remember from this encounter, and what got blitzed out of your mind by old lady.
Intelligence. Oh, that's gonna go so well for Prod. That's a 7.
It's a 7. The one thing you do remember, hearing mention of, after about 8 hours, you managed to exit this building. You managed to sort of allay yourself of company. But you do remember that this matronly, grandmotherly figure imparted to you that on the western side of the city, there is a hospitality district run by her good friend Elijah Moran. A small like hotel type situation, an inn, if you will. And she recommended it for if you wanted an enjoyable night, essentially.
Okay. Prod gives a stretching and was like, I think I'll go there to have a nap. He does not connect any dots, by the way. Not a single dot connected.
That is fine. That is the intended situation here. At any rate, you potter on over to what you note first as it looks at first like what you would expect some form of major sort of center of nightlife area. You realize at some point that you have accidentally wandered into what would realistically be described as the red light district here in Velostov. It's kind of tucked away in an alley. There's like a long alleyway that's just filled with little curiosity shops and windows with odd displays and the occasional, like, you get to the end of the alley and it opens up into this big square, and at one end you see Knights of Morin at the end of the road, and like two of the windows are almost blacked out save for this like red lighting that illuminates the front, and you see relatively scantily clad dwarves, and by relatively scantily clad dwarves dancing in these windows, I mean essentially like they're not in full plate armor.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an odd one, but then they're not in full plate armor, and that for somehow, despite the fact that traveling with Darren, who's been wearing like full leather armor the whole time, this feels kind of weird because these dwarves are wearing chainmail, and that's a little spicy in these parts, and this seems to be the kind of vibe of this area. So please, how does your night proceed, Elfie?
I'm just trying to think how thick is Prod? How truly thick is Prod? Quite.
You did roll a 7 on your.
I think he's not gonna quite realise that it's the red light district. I think he's gonna realise that it's like, oh, this is the fun part of town. But I don't think he realises quite how fun part of town this is.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll go up to this place and be like, do you just like single bed? He goes up to whatever the
So the sort of front of house attendant sort of looks you over, sort of takes you your form and figure in and goes, just for one? I mean, we can offer a multiple.
Oh, you mean like a hostel? If it's cheaper, then yeah.
Well, no. I'm sorry. Do you? They look a little confused for a moment, and then they go, this isn't. We're not a hostel.
Then just I need somewhere to kip.
Right. Yeah. We can set you up a room just for an evening. Like 10 copper, if you don't mind the noise.
Sounds good to me. He throws it over. Well, not like an overhand throw it over, but like passes it over, just real happy. And he goes on about Alfie's forgotten the name, but he hasn't forgotten the name of this lovely old lady, and goes on, I got recommended by Glydia and blah, 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 blah.
Glydia.
And
you mention Glydia's name, and this figure immediately perks up and goes, oh, Glydia, yes. We can certainly help you with anything that she might have suggested. And they lead you to a room.
Lovely.
They lead you to a room, and it's plush. It's got heavy-looking covers. There's purple velvet embroidered. There's like tapestries on the walls. You step into the room, and the floor is slightly heated, and it feels nice. And
10 copper.
and it's like it's literally just like it's a really nice room, but that's all it is. And then the attendant that is assisting you turns to you and says, if you need anything, any refreshments or assistance or just entertainment for the evening, just let me know, and we can tally your tab in the morning, if you don't mind.
Sounds gorgeous to me.
Wonderful. I hope you have a lovely evening. Our attendants will be with you in a moment. And he disappears, or they disappear down the hall. You get settled, and a few minutes later, two essentially like what you might call slight on a dwarven figure, which isn't slight at all. In fact, what is considered traditionally beautiful in a dwarven figure is a hefty amount of like muscle and like a good sort of a wide set of hips, etc., etc. There's a lot of like what is considered beautiful in like dwarven society is very different from what might be considered beautiful in like human or orcish society, essentially. And you see these essentially like these attendants step in, both in like what looks to be relatively light chainmail armor, and they say that one of them says, one of them comes up behind you and starts massaging your shoulders, and the other one starts taking off your armor, and they go, "What can we do for you tonight?"
But I would, can you, this is very nice, but, what's your name?
The one who's rubbing your shoulders, this older looking dwarf with a beard that has been braided into like golden strands almost, turns to you and says, "I'm Milor, and this is Diga."
Well, Malor and Diga, you seem lovely. I think I might have got the wrong end of the stick. Forgive the, double entendre. You know what? I have a friend round here who I've got some friends who I need to visit and see. I've lost them. I'm just kipping here for the night. I was wondering if you might know Darren Moran.
So, Darren, what relation do you
Lucian,
have to Diga
Yeah,
and
you got me.
Milor?
Lucian!
So, Darren,
Oh boy.
what relation do you have to Diga and Milor? Do you
What?
know them?
Sorry, to be clear, was the you being completely muted to us intentional a hot second ago?
No, that was me not pressing my push to talk.
Okay. What was it you were saying?
What is your relation to Diga and Milor?
Heck if I know, this is the first moment they've existed.
Yeah, but they are employed by a member of your family.
And? Why,
Okay.
are you suggesting we only hire our family? That seems rather nepotistic.
No, I'm just saying that as members of your family, would you know about them? Or not as members of your family, but like as people who work with your family, would you know about them? Are they people that you would know?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Diga kind of looks to Milor, and Milor looks to Diga, and they both turn to you and they go, There's a lot of Morans in Velostov. There's a lot. We wouldn't know a specific one.
Oh, I think they grew up here, right? They grew up here, right? I don't.
Milor kind of looks over again at Diga and goes, Well, when you say grew up here, there's, well,
I know
there's
it's a
at
bit
least
different.
70 different establishments across the city with the Moran name. It's a very influential family. And then
Can I
Diga sort of turns and goes,
physically describe Darren?
sure.
You'll describe 500 separate dwarves in this town.
But like, I go, well, actually, I'm not 100% sure what Darren looks like, but I might go into the fact that you change occasionally into something that is not a dwarf.
The most striking thing about Darren that you can remember is that they have bright red hair.
Yeah, they are the most ginger person you have ever met. You think ginger? No, more. That's what they look like. Have you seen them around?
Diga sort of thinks to themselves for a second, and then goes, you know, maybe.
Do you know anyone who might know?
There is, and they start sort of like exchanging glances and sort of communicating in a way that you don't quite understand, but that you've seen people communicate in before. Before eventually one of them turns to you, Diga turns to you, and goes, you know, now that you mention it, Ader Moran comes by on occasion. That sounds familiar. Bright red hair is one of the few dwarves that has bright red hair, anyway. They might be related.
I guess if they came from there. Maybe they've gone in for a family visit. Oh, Lord. Okay. Let's go ask Mum, then. Or Dad. I still don't know how that works. And, he... goes, where would I find this Ada?
Ader Moran? They'll probably be with their parent over at the council chamber. Easiest place to look for them, I suppose.
Council chamber. How'd you get there?
Oh, you can't miss it. It's right in the middle of the city. And because you weren't here last time, let me describe the city for you. You guys entered through like a thin valley, but the city itself is essentially built under a set of hills. And as you enter the city, the first thing that you see is these massive pillars that reach up to the roof of the city, and it's like these massive domed caverns. The central pillar is so massive that they built the main council chambers inside it, essentially. So the central pillar of the city is where the main council chambers are, and you can see it from anywhere in the city, essentially.
Right.
Unless you're behind one of the other pillars.
If I... look, I got lost almost immediately. Could I interest one of you lovely, and he squints at them, dwarfs, to put on some more leather and accompany me that way?
Leather, you say?
Diga and the other one whose name I have already forgotten. Melora, yes. They turn to each other and they go, you know, I think you just might. And they both exit a room. You hear them discussing with someone like outside the room very quickly, and they say, if you don't mind paying for overtime, we can take you anywhere in the city.
How much is overtime?
2 gold?
Fair enough. Let's go.
They both seem relieved at not having to do their traditional job that evening. So they immediately take you up on your offer.
Yeah.
You
I'll offer to buy them snacks on the way and stuff like that.
Yeah, you exit the room, and you see Diga and Milor have immediately donned, like, where they were before wearing, like, light chainmail that mostly covered things. Now they're wearing, like, leather and heavy plate, and both of them have, like, what Diga has this, like, big axe strapped to their back, and Milor has, like, this odd-looking contraption that you've seen once before, which is a Swiss Army folding chair that is also strapped to their back. They're pulling on, like, heavy boots. They still have, like, all the sort of, like, extant beauty sort of, like, accoutrement in their beard and in their hair, and, like, all the makeup and stuff is still on them, but they essentially look like dwarven versions of the Kyoshi warriors.
Hell yeah.
Is the easiest way to describe them, really.
Rod's gonna go, if we have time, can you make me up to look like that?
And the courtesans, if you will, turn to you and go, darling, we can do that on the way.
Fuck yeah!
And yeah, they sort of a bit of an honor guard situation, tromp out into the city, with you in tow, and sort of start guiding you through Velostov. They show you, like, different places in the red light district first, but eventually you start going through the rest of the city. They start pointing out specific landmarks, giving a little bit of history on the whole place. Eventually you arrive at the central pillar. This massive, what looks like the base of a trunk of a giant stone tree. That's easily like 100 feet across. And they sort of point out different things, and then they guide you to the center of this sort of massive trunk, where this marble archway that's essentially got, like, onyx and amethyst engraved and sort of, like, embedded into the stone all the way up. With, you see, like, at the top, this massive shield-like symbol that's embedded in the stone. And they sort of lead you in, and you enter the council chamber. Now, here's something you need to understand about dwarven politics. Dwarves are a little bit prone to violence. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. The Dwarven Council Chamber is set up like an arena. And you quickly come to understand why. You note that the stands of the council chamber are essentially like a coliseum. And you notice that in the middle there are, like, 4 podiums and a sort of a speaking area, and then in the middle of that is a sand pit. And currently in the sand pit there is combat. Like, 4 different dwarves are going at it with axe and Swiss Army chair and flails and all of this other stuff. And you see presiding over this arena on the far side of the chamber And like all throughout the arena, there's like hundreds of spectators as well. And some of them look like council members, maybe, but others just like look like members of the public who've come to watch the current spectacle play out. And you look around, and at the other side of the chamber, it's essentially like this, where the rock sort of comes up to cup and sort of protrude, and you have this like, essentially like a throne that's overlooking the arena itself, and on that throne sits an elderly looking dwarf that sort of has his hands on his hips, not sitting on the throne, but like actually you realize standing in front of it, his hands on his hips over a pair of dual axes, and he's looking down at what is apparently a legislative body trying to decide on policy through trial by combat.
Does it look like it's working?
It looks like it's working. Like the way, like, you can see, like, essentially the way it's working is like there are bills posted in the front of the pedestals. And you notice that every now and again, one of the combatants will break away from the fight, run to a pedestal, scribble something on someone else's bill, and then rejoin the fight.
Fantastic.
And it seems to be a functional form of democratic government.
This is fantastic.
You see, like, behind the throne at the other side of the chamber, you see this massive hourglass that is slowly ticking down. Suddenly, a dwarf that's looking at the hourglass watches the last piece of sand fall. A heavy gong is rung, and the fighting stops. All the dwarves, bloodied and battered as they are, return to their podiums, stand before them, take a look through all of this legislative paperwork, and the hourglass is turned again. They put it back on the front of the board after having like done several annotations. The gong is once again rung, and they immediately jump back into the fray. And this seems to be the way that policy is decided in Velestol. It might not be the same in any other dwarven city, but this is how it's decided here by the looks of it. And it looks interesting. You are immediately drawn into this.
This is amazing. Entertainment and politics all at the same time.
So yeah, it seems to be that dwarves have essentially found a way to make politics a form of sport, while also making them essentially enjoyable for a general community to engage with, which is an interesting situation. You eventually sort of tear your gaze away from this situation long enough to notice that the figure next to the throne, not the person standing in front of it, but the figure next to it, while wearing like heavy semi-gold trimmed robes, they look remarkably similar to Darren, essentially. They have this shock of bright red hair, this relatively short trimmed beard that has like golden like chains woven throughout it. And they're wearing like heavy gold pauldrons over this what looks to be like a dark sort of brownish red robe. And they have like a chain of lower office around their neck, and you can see like they're wearing armor, but it's also like the robe is part of the armor. essentially. And you look across and you see this. Eventually, the gong gets rung once again, and the dwarven figure that was standing in front of the throne leaps 60 feet straight down from the throne into the sandpit.
Oh.
He lands on 2 feet, not 3-point landing, but 2-point landing, cushioning his landing with his knees. Gets up, pulls all the various bills off the pedestals, takes a look at all of them as these 4 sort of I guess you could call them senators stand before him. Takes a look at all the different ones, and picks 2 and just puts the other 2 back on the podiums. He picks 2, puts them, hands them off to a scribe, essentially, and puts the other 2 back on the podiums, then throws both his axes at them, splitting them down the middle.
Ooh.
The 2 senators who had those bills proposed immediately just leave the arena, and the other 2 sort of stand, and the steward of Belostov addresses the crowd. And he goes, Dorgrimst Algrof Antaitar Kostandovan. And you realize he's speaking Dwarvish. Do you speak Dwarvish?
No.
You do not speak Dwarvish. So all you hear is this. Galtrokastum Vadra Kedan. Adaksnandevra Kostat Hantovan. And he's essentially sort of making this proclamation to the attending community, but you gather the gist as Diga and Melora translating it for you, that these 2 final bills will be put forth on the floor of the council chambers for a voting session, and this is how they decide what bills to vote on, is through trial by combat, essentially. And that's how they've sort of established this. And then Diga sort of points out the figure who's still standing next to the throne and goes, "That is Eder. That is Eder Morin. You might manage to find out some more information from him."
Oh, I thought Darren just had a change of clothes. Okay, I see. And I sort of try and shimmy round to get there, giving them a little wave. I'm obviously too large. I stand out quite a lot. I'm also wearing something quite garish.
In fairness, you're picking your way through a crowd of hundreds of dwarves and maybe 70 to 80 different other species as well. Because it's not just dwarves here. This is entertainment.
I see.
There's a lot of different species here. So you're not necessarily out of place. But you do notice that around, in a ring around the base of this sort of jutting section, there are guards posted, and that area is just clear of anybody.
I try and make my way towards Ada.
Okay. The moment you sort of reach the edge of the crowd to where this sort of ring of guards is posted, one of them sort of turns to you, puts out a hand and says, "I'm sorry, no civilians past this point."
Okay, so Prod's quite offended by being called a civilian. He goes, "I'll have you know I'm royalty." And
the guard roll me a carry on, but you'll need to roll me a persuasion check for this probably.
Because he believes it's not a deception.
Yeah.
And I think I'm my bestie's related to that geezer.
Okay. Roll me a persuasion check.
I shall. Aye, Captain. Persuasion. Persuasion. Where the fuck is my persuasion? My persuasion. Persuasion.
Next to performance and religion, which I imagine are
Bro.
important for you.
That's a 3.
How's your persuasion a 3?
No, my persuasion's a +1. I rolled a 2.
Oh,
What's persuasion work off again?
Charisma.
I
Look,
forget you have low charisma.
I don't have very high charisma. I'm not a
you wouldn't
charismatic
think
boy.
it, would you?
You wouldn't
Yeah,
think it
they're
from
all
a
character.
you wouldn't think it from a paladin of the god of theater, but yeah, Prod has very low charisma.
Look, he's not a likable guy.
Except that
That's
he
just-
is. But
well,
you know.
sometimes.
Okay, so
Like no
the guard
offense,
sort of
Alfie, but
looks you
Prod is-
up and
Prod is
down.
absolutely the party slut.
Being
The-
a
the-
slut and being likable are different things.
This is true, I suppose. However, as I was saying, the guard kind of he looks you up and down, and then he goes. He sort of nudges his friend next to him, and he goes, "Oi, this dude thinks he's royalty," and the other one goes, "Him, royalty." And they both just break down laughing.
Ooh, okay, that's gonna really offend Prod, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What's Prod will be offended by that. That's not just a little. That's a big.
Roll to resist the dark urge.
I feel like I have to. Is there a role I can do to control myself? Because Prod's lovely, but he's got.
That's your call. That's your call.
Okay. Can I roll a wisdom saving throw to not punt this guy in the face?
I'll allow it.
Because I feel like.
I'll allow it. Yeah.
Because either Prod will or Prod won't.
I'll let you leave this up to chance. Go for it.
Okay, that's a 14. He's not going to punt him in the face.
What's your wisdom?
+5.
Okay, what's your current wisdom score is what I meant to say.
Oh, my current wisdom score is 10.
10. Okay, so yes, you wouldn't punch him in the face. If you rolled below a 10, then you would have.
Yeah. Okay. He's gonna ball up his fist. But he's not gonna punch anyone, and he's gonna go. Ada! He's gonna try and yell over to Ada.
To Ader. Okay. The crowd is loud, to be fair. This sort of but it is sort of nearing the end of the legislative period here. So the two dwarves kind of look at each other, the guards in front of you, and I'll say that Ader doesn't turn. He's probably used to hearing his name called out at this point. But he does sort of like, you see him like cock his head to one side.
And
He's quite far away. He's like a good 30 to 40 feet away from you. Like, high up.
Yeah. Do you know where the fuck Darren is?
Okay. At that point, immediately, like, the two guards standing in front of you just, like, they take a step back. Ada's head is like, it snaps like lightning to you immediately. He looks furious.
I shall take that as a no.
He immediately like points to you. You hear him say something in Dwarvish. 3 guards immediately move forward to try and arrest you.
I go, oh, what the fuck? There's something that Alfie wants to do, but there's something I don't think Prod would do it.
It's up to you.
And that's jump into the ring. I want to jump into the ring.
You want to jump? I mean, would Prod jump into the ring?
I'm thinking, you know how Lord Farquaad? I'm thinking that Shrek bit, that bit in Shrek.
It's up to you. I mean, how would Prod play this?
Prod would probably. I don't think he'd leg it. I think what he'd do is he would use his dash action to
Bearing in mind you are like in a crowd of people almost at this point.
To go up to Ada. I think he's gonna try and chat to Ada and be like, "I'm sorry, they're in the city somewhere."
Okay,
I'm
so
trying to find them.
as a note, like, in order to get to Ada, you would have to break through a line of like heavily armored, fortified dwarves, of which like 3 of them are converging on your position right now.
Okay, I think then Prod would probably GTFO.
Okay, roll me a dexterity check.
Oh, saving throw or check?
Dexterity check.
Oh, hang on. I'm gonna put an accidental saving throw into the thing. Check. Dexterity check. That's an 11.
That's a fail. As 3 dwarves immediately lunge for you, they have like heavy-looking staffs. You feel one of them crack across the back of your like knees. Another one comes down on your shoulder. A third one immediately approaches you with heavy-looking manacles, and is going to attempt to try and shove them onto your wrists.
Get your hands off me!
Okay, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna try and do?
For a succulent Chinese meal? He's gonna try and strength just go. Just trying to talk to Ada and just walk through these guys.
So you're on your knees at the moment because they cracked.
They put me on my knees.
Yeah, they cracked this heavy-looking bow staff across the back of your knees. That's gonna send anybody down.
Okay.
So you're on your knees at the moment. But if you want to try and strength your way through, you can. It's gonna be difficult.
Yeah. I think he's gonna try and strength. Just his hands. He's gonna try and strength so his hands are up. But they're not gonna shackle him. He goes, I am a prince, I will not have this!
Okay, roll me a strength. Roll me a strength saving throw in this instance.
Come on, baby, I'm strong. I'm the strongest boy. I'm so strong. Strength me up. Strength me up. That's still an 11. Come on, let me roll good.
That's not
I've got
enough.
a +5.
You feel you try to wrench your arms up, and these heavy iron manacles immediately get clamped down over your armored wrists, and you suddenly feel a heavy knock to the back of your head before everything goes black.
Oh, can I quickly shout, I've still got to pay these lovely ladies before I get knocked out?
You do not get the chance.
No!
We shall say that the ladies were paid in advance.
Okay.
Because they wouldn't have left work otherwise,
yeah.
realistically speaking. So yeah, the world fades to black for you. And you wake up a couple of hours later, in a cold, chilly jail cell.
I'm in a hole.
You're in a hole.
Yay!
You came full circle.
Thank you.
It looks, you feel like it might be early morning at this point. Right. What have the rest of you been doing? What are the rest of you doing for your morning after meeting Degra Malavicta?
It's time to plot the anti-heist.
Okay.
I'm gonna just, try and commit as many details of Degra's appearance to memory as I can.
Okay. So you spent, the evening before kind of, memorizing Degra's appearance. This dark elf figure, tall, gangly, kind of stringy black hair, hasn't bathed in a good 2 weeks. Not looking very good at the moment, to be honest.
Probably not going to be able to replicate the smell, so I hope no one's looking for that.
No, you can't really replicate the smell, but you managed to get the rest of it down pretty well. And eventually you come out, you look in the mirror, and you see Degra, essentially. And you're like, okay, yeah, I've got this down. Everyone except Prod has taken a long rest, by the way, in case you used any spells or anything last session. I don't think you did, but
I
just
used
to make
so
sure.
much disguise self.
Yeah. And you are all ready, rested, and generally, probably quite capable at this point in time. So yeah. You don't know where Prod is. You guys spent the evening at the inn. You guys have no idea where Prod is. You haven't seen them at all.
Well, guess they're dead.
Either dead or in the middle of nowhere.
I feel like we probably want to find them. I'm not sure what or possibly who they've gotten into whilst they've been away, but I don't know that I want to leave Prod roaming around here.
Not in the city, of course. Can I make an investigation or perception check, whatever you think is most appropriate? I want to find someone that does divination, like a fortune teller, a bone reader, something like that on the main street.
Okay, I mean, there's a few different divination specialists, but picking out one that can actually divine properly and isn't just a scam is gonna be a little difficult.
I mean, I can see actual magic, so I feel like that would make it slightly easier.
Yes, but even your average scam artist divination dude will have a degree of magic to help him do the scam, you know. But yeah, if you wanna roll me a either investigation or perception check on that.
Do investigation.
Investigation I can do, and I cannot roll lower than 19.
That is a 15.
Okay.
I'm currently incapable of rolling dice because I'm still waiting for GM, so let me take out an actual physical D20.
Yes. I apologize.
Okay.
What do you feel the ocean?
That is a 27.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, that would certainly do as something. You come up behind the librarian at one point, as they're like talking to this like divination-esque figure. And you like note a few different things. Mainly the fact that this figure is a known scam artist in these circles, essentially. And like you're aware enough of what these circles are like to be able to pick out who's fake and who's real. And this figure is very much fake. So you sort of direct the librarian to someone who, to one of the more like, it's more like the theocratic sort of section of Velostov, where there's like a few different churches to a few different priests. You direct them to the correct place, and eventually you guys manage to come across this temple to Tenor. This sort of it's a small, quaint little temple, but that's kind of the way Tenor works. And you meet this sort of elderly dwarf sitting outside, who is whittling this sort of what looks to be a pipe of some sort.
Hello.
Well, hello there, young man.
Oh, hello. Sorry to interrupt your whittling and everything, but we're looking for someone. We thought you might be able to help us.
Well, I'm sure I can give it a go. It's been a few centuries since I last flexed my survivalist skills, but I'm sure I could try.
Yeah, we're looking more of like a divination-y route of finding them in the city somewhere.
Oh, I see. Yes, I suppose I could help with that. Yes. Who are you looking for? Do you happen to have an object of theirs that might help you? Might help me focus on them?
Do we?
We're fucking dumb.
What? What happened?
Yes, I have this ring of communication that is really great, and we all got one, so we could stay in contact and ask
where those exist, don't we?
Where we are when we get split up. Thank you so much. Here's 5 gold pieces. You've already helped us so much.
That's very kind of you, young man.
Dang it! I wasted an 18 on that.
The goddess Tenor does work in strange and mysterious ways. Thank you. And he sort of tucks it all into a donation box, a little bewildered. This very, very old dwarf. You realize, Darren, this dwarf is probably in like at least around the 500 to 600 mark at this point.
Oh God,
he's
Wait,
ancient.
500 to 600.
Harmony, we're lucky that man didn't expire on the spot.
Yeah, he's like antiquity level ancient.
Gods above.
But yes.
Right. Party to prod, come in, prod.
Ow!
Ring ring.
Ow!
I don't know what. Wait, it is.
You hear Prod's voice come through the ring, a little bit muffled by the sounds of it. They seem to, as Prod will probably tell you later, they seem to have their head crushed against a stone wall.
My head! Fucking dickhead! Ginger dwarf, I'm gonna fucking munt him!
I don't think that means what you think it means. Where are you right now?
I shouldn't be treated. I'm in a hole!
A hole?
I'm in a hole. There was a lady. Okay, so there was a granny, and then she made me go to a sex place. But then the ladies were nice, so they took me to the arena where the fucking dwarves were hitting each other. And then I said hi to the ginger one, and then he Oh,
Okay, so you're in jail.
I don't know. They knocked me
You-
out.
You don't. Is there anyone you could ask?
I
Are
sort
there
of
bars?
shout
Can you
out.
see anything?
Hello.
You look around the sort of chamber that you're in, Prod, and the first thing you notice is like one wall is just like, in fact, like all four walls are just like flat stone, except for like a single like iron slot in one wall. And you look around and it's like at first you think there's no one else in here, until you realize that there's like a low wooden bench on one wall and there is someone like curled up on it.
Oh fuck! Are you asleep?
And the figure goes, I was. Can I go back to sleep now?
No. Well, sorry. Where the fuck are we?
What do you mean? What do you mean? Nobody comes here without intention.
Intention? I
You know,
What?
they say intention to steal or breach the peace.
don't. Oh, that's. Oh, bugger. I think I'm in jail, guys.
Right.
Figure
Okay,
goes,
so
who are you-
Operation
who are you
Get Prod out of
talking
Jail,
to?
and Operation Get Other People Out of City.
I'm talking to the guys that live in my ring. Okay.
What?
Yeah,
You
they're
got
lovely.
people in your ring?
Yeah.
Aye.
Daily
Ooh,
nightly
yes,
never
I'm the
surrender.
ghost that lives in the ring. Ooh.
I'm
You
the
should
ghost
hand
of
over all your
Taco
mortal
Bell.
possessions to the ring.
Only
Let's
Prod
not try
can
and
hear
start a
that.
cult, please.
Only Prod can hear that. But, you know.
God damn it.
I go, shut up.
Oh, you're alright, sorry.
Oh, not you, the guy in the ring. It's fine. Right. Oh, my head. Can I chat to someone? I think there's been a mistake. This bloody Addy, that guy. What a dick. Do you have any response to that, Darren?
It's not an uncommon name.
It's not uncommon. There's only one person you know that is called Ader.
Yeah, but just because I know one person called Lucian doesn't necessarily mean that they're the only Lucian on Earth.
True,
There might
there's
be-
one in
there
League of
might be-
Legends.
There might be at least 7 of them.
You're not
That
wrong.
one's
There are,
helpful.
I
actually.
already
isn't
know
it?
3. I know 3 whole Lucians. It's very strange.
Only know 2, and one's a dog.
Excuse
Wow.
me?
I literally know someone whose dog is named Lucian. That was not a slight.
I feel a little bit...
You feel slighted.
I feel a little slighted, yeah.
They're a good dog, if that helps.
I will say I only know of one person named
Somehow that just makes it feel worse, I'm gonna be honest.
Ew.
They're an old greyhound that my friend Hawes rescued.
Okay, Prod, do you happen to have a full name on this, Ada?
My head hurts. It was Adamuman.
Adamuman?
Something like that.
Uh-huh.
I think it was. Yes, I remember because it was the same name that you had. Ada Moran.
Oh, okay.
And
Right.
he was in this big chamber, and I said, "Hey," and he looked at me, and I was like, "Someone told me you might know my friend Darren," and then he just.
Right. Okay. I think I have a decent idea where you've ended up.
This decent idea, as it occurs to you, Darren, is that Prod has been put in maximum security isolation.
Weird that he somehow still has a cellmate.
It's not isolation. It's kind of like isolation from everybody else at this point. Not isolation full stop. But you also have a decent knowledge of where in the city Prod might currently be.
So I have a decent idea of how to get him out of it. I feel like I probably have a decent enough understanding of the legal mechanisms here to get Prod out of isolation.
Probably.
Alright. Everyone, we need to bust Prod out of jail.
Do I need to apologize to anyone?
God,
Apart from
I
you
hope
for
Buzz.
busting me out.
I really hope not, because I might have to be present for it.
Oh. Sorry, guys. I was just trying to find my way back and I forgot about the ring. Oh.
It's okay, we also forgot about the ring.
I met some very lovely ladies, though. And as you, like, try and get towards me, I will just chat about the two dwarves that I met who had some wonderful conversations with, and they did my makeup, and da-da-da-da-da.
Your makeup is still, like, perfect, by the way. Despite all the rough handling from being, like, in jail, the makeup is impeccable.
Man, that setup
That blush must have some fucking staying power, Jesus.
Yeah, it's Dwarven blush. It's good. It's good stuff.
Dwarven blush and it's just cadmium.
I mean...
we're made of rock. That wouldn't be too hard to believe.
Yeah.
Living rock, but rock.
Living rock, but rock nonetheless. But yeah.
And I love this arsenic yellow blush I have.
God.
How do you call it that? Because it's the same color? Huh?
Sure. There's a little label on the back says only for dwarven consumption.
Yeah. On that note, Prod, roll me a... No. You're good. You're good.
Con check.
You get. I will do a con check if that's what you want.
No, that's not fun.
We'll see how long you end up wearing it for.
What am I wearing?
You do this to them. Makeup.
Oh, makeup.
Makeup designed specifically for dwarves.
Weirdly, it's a lot cheaper than for humans. It must be that total absence of safety regulation.
Yeah.
Oh,
don't
do you mean
have to
it's
worry
got
about
lead
poison.
in it? I get it.
As in, like, dwarves are poison resistant, Elfie.
Yeah.
So they don't have as much trouble.
I think I also have resistance to poison.
Oh yeah, paladin.
Yeah.
Paladin.
Oh yeah, that should help you.
Hang on, I think paladin might be resistant to disease, not I'm not 100%
Actually,
certain
yeah,
on
no,
poison.
that's probably correct.
How about being an orc? Does that help?
I don't think so.
No, I
Oh.
don't think so. It's
Oh,
fine.
no.
We'll get to it if it becomes relevant.
Am I gonna have acne?
Are you gonna have
a half-elf,
acne?
you have resistance to microaggression.
That's gonna be that's the worst form of punishment Prod can think of, is getting acne from the makeup.
Who
It's a
knows?
wrap.
You're gonna have a very substantial form of acne.
of
But radiation poisoning.
I don't think they painted his face with radium. I think we're okay on that front.
Isn't cadmium slightly radioactive?
Cadmium is slightly radioactive, I believe. yes.
Slightly. But radium was the thing that the girls would paint on their lips and whatnot, with terrifying consequences.
Don't worry about that. Who needs a lower portion of your jaw anyway?
Most people, actually.
No, you get to replace it with
Surprisingly
like
enough.
ant mandibles or something.
Moving on.
Anyway, yes.
Guess we'll make our way towards the jail.
So
Yeah,
the quote-unquote jail is more like a fortress here in Velostov. It's so essentially the way Velostov is built, right, is you have the north gate, which is where you entered from, which is technically the south gate because you go north to get to. You get what I mean. South gate.
I'm English. Yes, I understand
West
what you mean.
gate, east gate. On the northern side of the city, basically, like, there's this massive rock shelf, and embedded into the wall is this massive fortification that is essentially what makes up the city's essentially watch precinct, if you will. And it's got these massive gates, these battlements that are all sort of like embedded into the wall. There is no way to approach this without approaching from the front, because it has no other sides, basically. And it looks imposing, but honestly, it's not. It doesn't really get used all that much, other than for like putting people in cells overnight when they get too drunk. Like, it's Velostov's crime rate is actually pretty low, all things considered. So yeah, it's large and imposing, but it's imposing not because it needs to be, but just because one architect one day went, I want to build a really big building. So yeah. What are you guys? How are you guys approaching this?
Like a parent collecting their child from the lost and found.
Okay.
I will scale up for this one because I do not want a record of me being here.
Yes. So you, as the Dragonborn, walk up to the sort of. You walk into the main sort of entrance hall. It's this big portcullis area, these smooth tunnels, and then at the end there's like. This is like one of the only ways into this sort of like citadel situation. You walk in and there's like at the end of the hall there's like a flat wall with a window and a door. And there's one guard who's sitting behind there. There's two guards at the gate, but they're not really doing much. They're like, oh yeah, go on through. And then there's this one sort of clerk-like dwarf sitting at this window. With like an in record and an out record, and all of this sort of thing going on, and he sort of he squints his eyeglasses at you and goes, "What can I help you with, young man?"
Hi, sorry to be a bother, but we recently discovered that a member of our band had managed to find himself in your hostel of sorts, and we would like to remove him from the situation.
Yes. Hold on a minute. Can you give me a description, please? Or your name, maybe?
Prod Halfork. Caused a bit of a fuss yesterday.
It sort of goes scanning down this list of names and like descriptions and stuff. And goes,
I can't be that many surely.
Yes, arrested in the council chambers on charge of disturbing the peace, set for trial in 2 weeks, bail at 30 gold.
Trial, you say?
Yes, he was apparently attempting to assault the vice steward of the city. Trial is kinda important for that sort of thing.
I'm very certain that's what they looked like. Okay, right. What are his What's his prognosis if they find him guilty of that exactly?
Prognosis.
Death penalty's been outlawed for a few years now.
Well, that's a nice change.
So probably just life sentence in the mines. Which arguably is, worse, but you didn't hear that from me.
30 gold, you said?
30 gold bail, come back in 2 weeks for the trial.
Right. Posting 30 gold.
Thank you very much.
And he sort of scrapes it across the desk and turns behind him and goes, "Call! Ashtada for Dekahan!" And you translate that, Darren, as, "Go get the fucker who tried to get Ader." And you prod, about 5 minutes later, hear like heavy boots stomping on stone. You see like the latch in the wall open a moment, and then you watch as the entire wall becomes a door as it sort of slides back and into like a groove in the side. And this hefty looking gnarled dwarf with like a massive scar down one side of his face, and like carrying what looks to be like a massive warhammer, just sort of like stands in the doorway and goes, "Ash, Gorada!" and sort of points at you, Pro.
I'd speak into my ring. Is that you guys?
No.
Yeah. That's us.
Okay. I sort of follow this guy. Did you get me bail, or am I just free to go?
Bail.
How
Hey,
much?
baby jail. 30 gold.
I'll pay it back.
As you're led through the jail, you start to realize that while all of these tunnels are like flat and featureless, Prod, you do see like the occasional iron slit in the walls, like essentially about the size of a letterbox. And you start to realize that this is a dwarven jail. These corridors are filled with cells. You just can't see them because the doors look like part of the wall. It's actually kind of unnerving to know that you are surrounded by maybe hundreds of prisoners, but you can't tell because there's no way to know. So yeah,
There's probably some human rights being voided here, but
well, it's a dwarven jail cell, so
there's probably some dwarven rights being voided here, but
probably. You get to like the security checkpoint, and one a sort of a shorter than most dwarf with a large sort of mechanical hand turns to you, Prod, grabs your wrist very quickly, examines you and goes, size 4, and grabs this cuff from the shelf behind him and clamps it onto your wrist. You feel the metal hand squeeze down as it actively just gets like molded to fit your wrist over your gauntlet. And you like look down, and it's this shaped iron shackle with like the crest of Velostov on it, and there's a small green gem embedded in it. And he goes, "Onward, on with you." And you get pushed out the door next to the rest of your companions, and you look around and the door just smacks you in the face.
Hi guys.
Morning.
Oh
Morning,
no,
Frog.
some sort of magical device has been applied to you.
I know.
You are
What is-
right. It is a magical device.
I'm
Uh,
guessing that's basically like an ankle bracelet.
It
Yeah,
is.
magical ankle bracelet.
It is a.
Only
it's a
actually
tracking
applied
bracelet.
it to your hand instead of your gauntlet, so
Well, no,
off
it's
the
like-
gauntlet and leave.
The
The problem
thing.
with the gauntlet is that I wake up with it every morning.
Yes, and also this thing has been like molded so tightly that you wouldn't be able to take your gauntlet off.
Well, nothing else
So-
for it. We'll have to cut off your arm.
Yeah.
It's fine. You've got another one.
And you
got
look
a whole
at it,
artificer
and
right here.
so you looking at it, librarian. This is a tracking bracelet. It will tell anyone who is holding the corresponding gemstone where this thing is, and it will trigger alarms the moment someone steps outside of the city wearing it.
Okay, cool.
Reckon we could knock it off and then.
How hard are these things to tamper with? Would I know?
You
There can't be too many people that come around that are
roll me
capable
an
of taking this off, I'm
intelligence
guessing.
Weren't you saying to me earlier that we needed to create a distraction?
Actually, that's fair. An escaped criminal would create a pretty good distraction.
Yeah, counterpoint. That would cause us a lot of, how should I put this? Bad press.
roll me an intelligence check.
very much-
I'd
I'd very much like
that's a
to
crit
get-
fail, so a 4.
Oh dear. I'd very much like to get through this ordeal without anyone knowing that we were here.
You have no idea how difficult this would be to remove.
I guess it's probably new.
All you know is that while you have seen stuff like this before, the stuff that you have seen in the past was devilishly tricky to get off.
Well, I hate brute forcing things, but just do dispel magic on it or use the anti-magic orb.
I'm guessing the orb might work.
Yeah, the orb's a
Should
pretty
work.
powerful magical device.
Just we'd have to potentially risk breaking it to do that. Also, we probably shouldn't do this in the lobby of the jail, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume
The clerk isn't really paying attention to the lot of you anymore. I assumed you were kind of talking and walking at this point.
Yeah, we're talking
Yeah.
walking. I don't think we'd be discussing actively taking off the bracelet near the student.
I
We're
vote
not
we
that
head
silly.
I vote we head back to the tavern and find a quiet, private area to speak, because we need
Yeah.
to do some scheming.
Love my scheming.
Shouldn't we just go talk to this Ada and just tell them it was a big misunderstanding?
No. No, we should not.
Why?
Because that, as near as I can tell, firstly, getting in touch with Ada is going to cause probably another incident, because then we have someone who allegedly tried to assault her, just like, turning up again the next day. And, also, I'd really prefer that she not know I was here.
I guess that's fair enough.
I mean, if there was a way I could tell her I was sorry, and that I genuinely thought you were here, but now you've gone.
On that note, you're gonna be here
yeah.
for about the next 2 weeks because you've got a trial date. At which point, you can probably tell her quite emphatically how sorry you feel.
That's true.
Oh yeah, they've been sentenced to court date, haven't they?
Yeah, hence the bracelet.
I mean, I could.
Unless we can get that off of you, you can't leave the city, and more importantly, if you do leave the city, they're probably going to escalate your case.
Can I make it?
Bail and all that.
So I know Dwarvish, and I've been in the library for ages. Can I make a check to see if I know anything about Dwarven law? Like ancient bullshit law that could be invoked to help get us out of this?
Oh,
Some
hell yeah.
clause that specifically says that half-orcs are exempt.
I
Probably,
have a
like
probably
somebody-
because racism or something, but yeah.
What if we could prove Prod's royalty?
And then I could get diplomatic
Immunity.
immunity. Yeah.
I will say. I will say, if you want to delve into the library for this, you can attempt this check.
Okay.
What kind of role would this be? Investigation?
This would be investigation, yes.
Investigation when I'm in the library. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, meanwhile,
Okay.
I am a dwarf, and I can't roll lower than 19 on investigation, and I'm guessing I'd probably get advantage for this, though I don't think I have much more than not much more than a left-wing activist's knowledge of the law here.
How about we double our chances? You go to an actual modern law library, and I go to the fucking, astral plane library. One of us is bound to find something.
Is there a library nearby?
This feels like something that would be in the city, right? Like a law library. This place feels like it's run by
I
lawyers.
just don't think I've been to one before. Around here, anyways.
There is a library of law. It is located above the council chambers.
Never mind.
Because that's, if you were going to research law and stuff, you would go there. That they kind of need the most comprehensive library of law is located above the council chambers. You don't have to go through the council chambers to get there, but you know about this specific library because Ader spent a lot of time there. Specifically studying Dwarvish and Velostov law specifically.
Yeah, I don't think I'm stopping by there.
I mean, we could go there and just make sure they've gone somewhere else. Just wait until they leave and then go in.
I don't quite think you comprehend the problem here. Is it above but not directly accessed by the council chambers, or are we talking you have to be a council person to go in here?
So so the way that the sort of central pillar of Velostov is set up, right, is you have at ground floor you have the entrance to the council chambers, and the council chambers take up maybe a good 60 feet of this pillar, because you've got the central entrance, and then you've got the arena stands, and then you've got the massive arched windows, etc., etc. Around the outside of the pillar, there are these long, essentially curling ramps that go up to this second level where the library is located. The law library is located at the second level. Then these ramps go back around to the next level, and the next level is sort of this massive academic space. The level after that is dedicated to storage. The level after that is essentially the bottom of the airship port that pokes out the top of the hills of that Velostov is built under. There are direct paths from the library to the council chambers, but realistically there's multiple entrances because it's a library. It's not a repository of forbidden knowledge.
So there is a public access, as it were.
Yes.
Right. Okay, we could probably get in there, but that would still constitute person accused of attempting to assault a council person going to the place where the council people are.
Only accused,
So-
I'm not guilty.
I mean, that's still going to be a concern. If an attempted murderer shows up at the place where the attempted murder victim is, it's still going to be kind of
Well-
sus.
I'll be around my besties, so it'll be fine.
Or Pro could just go back to the tavern.
What?
You could just go back to the tavern.
Oh, but I'll miss out on all the fun.
On a metatextual level, yeah, that would be a problem.
Yeah, okay.
but in like the scheme of plot, that would be the logical decision. Therefore, as tabletop RPG players, we should not make that decision.
Okay.
It's up to you guys.
Prod will have a harumph and say, "You've got to keep me on the ring at all times. I want to know if there's any cool librarian babes."
I'll
I'm
let
the only
you.
cool librarian baby you're gonna see.
I
I'll-
know, but I want to know if there's
I'll
more
let
of
you
them.
know if we encounter Velma Dwarfly or something. I don't know.
Just a really, really big turtleneck, so big the only thing you see is like the top of their hair and the massive beard poking out.
Still
Looks like a big brush.
utterly ripped.
Absolutely hench, Velma Beardsley.
Velma Beardsley. I love it. That's wonderful.
Sounds like a Dimension 20 character.
It sounds like a Dimension 20 actor. Almost.
Almost. Okay, right, well I guess I'll stick to being scaled up for the moment. Does Prod know where the tavern is?
We went back to the tavern to talk, so I'm there.
You guys are
Okay,
at
right,
the tavern right now.
Okay, I thought we were on an empty road. Right. Off to Shea Library, and is it possibly... Librarian, would it be wise for us to see if we find it here first before engaging the library, or do you want to still just go to the library?
I think maybe we'll try the normal material plane version first. There's some threat in the library still that I'm a bit worried about.
Okay, the dimensional library as opposed to the intradimensional library.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Right, off we go.
So, you three, Ingvar, actually, Ingvar, what are you doing in all this? We haven't really covered that.
The man's half asleep, let's be honest.
Ingvar is half asleep, just kind of following the rest of them around, going, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah, pretty much. I
That's
mean, he
good
could
for
tag
us,
along
that's
with Laws. The man speaks law, but he could probably tag along to the modern library thing with all.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Ingvar does speak Dwarvish. Okay. So the three of you head on up. You arrive at the council chambers. The first thing you guys notice is that the council chambers are massive. Like, they're essentially this like Colosseum-like building, as I described earlier. You see like these two winding paths that go up around the outside, and they get to a certain point, and then they just start like getting supported by massive marble pillars that are sort of like ringing the outside of this giant sort of like cylinder. You get up to the other side, and you see this massive gateway, this archway that, while made of stone, is also inlaid with carved wood and brass and other bits and pieces. Above the door, it reads Durgrimst Lafkrota, which by extension means Dwarvish law. And below it, it reads Durgrimst Jikafra, which reads Dwarvish justice. a motto that is emblazoned on this library's front door. You enter, and the first thing you guys notice is that all the shelves are built of stone. In fact, everything in this chamber is carved out of the very stone that this pillar is made of. And you approach, like, the front desk. The first thing you realize, Darren, is that this is probably a relatively dangerous place to be. Because while you don't spot any of your immediate family around, or at least not in close proximity, you do notice, like, there's upper gantries in this library, and you do spot in, like, a good, like, 100 to 150 feet away, your father, sitting on a balcony much, much higher up. Almost invisible, but you know that figure, you know that face very well. The face of Dulver Moran, sort of staring down into the library before he turns and walks back, and is apparently holding council with a few other members of dwarvish clan heads up in the balconies above the library. You're not necessarily in danger of being spotted, especially in your scaled disguise, but it's certainly disconcerting to be this close in such a space, if you will.
Right. Try not to look criminal, everyone.
Yeah.
What's
But
the
they're
criminal
trying.
look like?
I'm guessing I roll investigation now.
What was that, librarian?
What's a criminal look like?
Apparently proud.
You look around, and investigation would be what you're looking to do here. I will say, what you can either do is you can roll investigation with advantage here, but lose out on investigating in the library. Or you can investigate normally here, and the librarian can go and investigate in the library.
What do we think, team?
Actually, no, I'll rephrase that. You can investigate with advantage here, or the librarian can take Ingvar and investigate with advantage in the library.
Wait, I can take people with me?
You can take one person with you, I believe.
This is news to me.
You can take it's essentially like a dimension door, so you can take one person with you for a brief period of time, but they will come back.
Okay. I mean, that makes it a lot more useful, honestly.
And if the librarian's still scared of whatever's in the library, it might be smarter to take somebody with him. Okay.
I think I can also dismiss the door at any point, essentially. So if we do get into trouble,
You don't
bring
have
us
the
back.
door yet.
No, not the door, as in like I have the ability to basically teleport or like plane shift, essentially. I can only do that on myself, though, I thought.
Well, you have Librarian's Refuge.
Yeah.
And then you have the Wandering Door, but you haven't hit 14th level yet, have you?
Yeah, I don't have the door. I
Yeah.
just have refuge, so I can only shift myself, from what I remember. It specifically says you gain the ability to shift yourself into a section of the Wandering Library.
Yeah, that should say yourself and up to one other person.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. So you can take up to one other person, but I should state, the moment you let go of that person, they will immediately get thrown back, essentially. So
Okay,
as
we
long
have
as
to
you're
hold hands.
as long as you're touching, you can take at least one person.
Oh my.
So yeah, it's up to you guys. You can either have investigation advantage here, or you can have investigation advantage in the library. You can't have both.
Which do we think we should prioritize?
Should probably
more
investigate both then, because then I can get advantage in the library, and you can roll normally here, right? And you have a really high investigate anyway.
I do, yep, +9. Can't roll one.
That sounds like the best situation.
Okay.
Alright. Ingvar, hold my hands. Close your eyes.
Alright.
Imagine.
That is a 22 for me.
22 for Darren. Ingvar and Librarian. Ingvar, you take the Librarian's hand, and you watch as the Librarian draws a geometric pattern in, like, amber light in the air. For a moment, nothing happens, and then you feel the world around you shift. You take a breath, and then suddenly you blink. Except that you don't feel like you blinked. And suddenly you're in a different space. You're in this tall marble palace, almost, with bookcases all over the place. Plush red carpets. You see, like, tiny brass contraptions skittering along the ceilings and across the walls, carrying books and traveling different pathways. You watch as they disappear into little alcoves. You see, essentially, like, it's a library, but in the most extravagant sense of the word. The Library of Law in Velostov may be big and imposing, but this feels like it stretches the definition of extravagant.
Holy shit.
Librarian, roll me a investigation check with advantage.
Okay.
And also roll me a d4.
Oh, wait. So I got an 18 on the investigation. Let's see what the d4 is. 3.
3. Okay. So we're gonna start with the Librarian, and then we'll shift back to you, Darren. So the first thing you do, because when you focus on the library, you have to focus on a specific topic. Your focus here is law. It's not easy to find subjects of dwarven law in this time period that you're specifically looking for. But eventually you do come across a few different passages in regards to dwarvish council trials, how trials are set up, and a few noted exceptions in regards to how someone has gotten off a specific charge. However, there are annotations after these exceptions that state that after a certain period, this law was revised, it was adjusted, this loophole was closed, etc., etc., etc. As you're reading, you do start to hear a few corridors away. You hear the shift of a corridor, and then suddenly you hear the sudden stamp of a heavy metal appendage, shall we say. As you're reading, you, Ingvar, eventually come across a specific text that is written in Dwarvish that details the exoneration of a specific dwarven king for crimes noted only as of most distasteful nature.
Oh no.
You look through this documentation, and eventually you come across something that seems like it might help. A statement from one of the court scribes, noting that in matters of court, those of royal descent were seen as more favored by the jury for leniency. But that's all you really managed to find here in the library. Eventually, librarian, after this doesn't take long. It's like you spend maybe about 10 minutes total in the library doing this research, because that's as long as you have. But eventually you do hear the thumping, the rhythmic, thumping of something charging through the corridors. You see at the end of this infinitely long corridor, this deep red light start to approach. What do you do?
Did you find anything?
Yeah, he just kind of points out the bits and bobs that in the book. You think this will help us towards if we manage?
That's all we have right now. Okay, Invo, you're going back now. I let go.
You let go? Alright, Ingvar, quickly roll me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, there's a junk on this mouse. Oh! Come here. Oh, okay. That's a wall.
That's a 1?
Okay.
Okay. Roll me a d8 real quick.
What if I move in most points? Oh! I think this must
Roll me a d8 and a d6.
I'm trying! That's a D6 thing. I've rolled a nice bit of looks. Hold on.
Okay, so that's a 2. So you move 10 feet. I'll take the 7 because that came first, so... So you appear 10 feet west of where you disappeared from, and immediately get knocked over by a short dwarven scribe carrying a massive stack of books. As they walk into you where you hadn't been a moment before. You were lucky that you didn't get phased in 15 feet away, because that would have phased you into a shelf.
Sorry.
Librarian, you're still in the library. You let go, but what are you doing?
I want to look at the thing that's coming around the corner. And as soon as I see it, I want to use my wisdom save to get out of the library.
Okay. You stare at this thing as it charges down the library's halls toward you. And at first, you think you're staring at some form of twisted version of one of your own constructs, as a matter of fact. As a twisted version of the bruiser construct. It has massive spikes on its shoulders. The armor that it's wearing is soot blackened. There is a red glow coming down from its neck section, and then you realize the bruisers don't have necks. And you're looking at this thing and you're realizing it has a helmet. There's a red glow coming from the neck and from the eyes, and bruisers don't have eyes. They don't have heads. You're staring at this thing, and you realize that its entire body is like if someone took a it's like if someone took a minotaur and built it out of metal. It's got the lower body of a man, albeit a good 10 feet tall, but the head or the helmet is shaped like that of a bull with massive horns. There are spikes protruding from its shoulders. As you stare at it, you realize that there's shreds of red cloth that are hanging from the various spikes. And you stare at it more and you realize that cloth is not cloth. That is skin. That is blood dripping skin that is dripping and tearing from the various massive spikes that protrude from this behemoth armor. And it is armor, but you don't know if there's something in there, or if it's just magically enchanted, or if it's some form of odd amalgamation, or if it's a construct. All you know is that red aura is blanketing out any form of magical vision that you might have on this creature. And then you snap back. Wisdom saving throw, please.
Yep. 16.
16. You get to choose where you land.
I have no reference for the area that I'm in, so I just go back to the point I was previously.
You go back to the point of your origin.
Wait, no. I land 2 feet up in the air and do a cool flip.
You do a cool little 3-point landing.
Yeah,
on the
a
ground.
little wizard flip.
It does hell on your knees, even though it's only from 2 feet up in the air.
When I was a girl.
But yeah, you land and you are breathing heavily as you do so. You look around and it's calm. People are looking at you a little weird, but there's no giant bull armor charging towards you down a corridor with skin dripping from its spikes, tearing. It feels like a bad dream, but you know that was real.
Does this library have a magic section?
It's a library on lore. There are a few. You speak to one of the caretakers, and they say, "Well, we do have a few volumes on magical lore."
I would like to look up cases of magical taboo.
Cases of magical taboo. Okay. Are you looking for something in specificity?
Anything like homunculus or necromancy related?
Okay. Yeah, I'll let you do.
This can just be like an aside happening in the background.
Yeah, roll me an investigation check, and we'll get to that later. Darren, you rolled a 22, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You start by spending 10 minutes just kind of browsing through books, looking for something that you might find helpful. Then your companions return and come to, assist you, though the librarian seems to squirrel off and look for something else. Ingvar kind of comes to help. They inform you of this bit and piece of what they found in the library, and you start looking at all of these different records and stuff. Eventually, you come across a historically not necessarily significant case about a visiting prince from an elvish tribe, or an elvish society, if you will, that was found guilty of essentially at that period in time, paid prostitution wasn't exactly legal, essentially.
Right.
So he was found guilty of purchasing services that were not necessarily purchasable. So he was eventually exonerated through a small legal loophole that to this day doesn't seem to have been closed as far as you can tell, in that visiting royalty, if claimed as visiting royalty by the current embassy of that essentially clan or society, is exempt from prosecution as long as they are as long as they promise never to return to the city of Velostov.
That we can certainly manage.
But the royal needs to be acknowledged by the city's embassy as royalty, or as by the embassy of their country, essentially.
Right. How much time do we have before we have to pull off the diversion?
At this point, you have maybe 6 hours before the time period that you agreed to be at the workshop for Degra.
Okay, it's probably not going to be fast enough for us to try and get Prod acknowledged and then sort that out, so that's probably going to
You
wait
have
till
2
tomorrow.
weeks to sort that out.
Yeah,
but-
we can sort this out like tomorrow or something. Maybe, if we're lucky. Bit of persuasion, but I'm good at that too. In fact, I'm slightly better at persuasion than I am investigation. Okay, right. We have an option. We have a scheme. Prod, over the rings here. You there?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the authority that would consider you royalty?
Well, I suppose it'd probably be an orcish one.
Right. Anything more specific than that? Like a country or something?
No.
Were you given like a crest at birth, or like
No, so-
kind of royal credit card?
I mean, it's sort of more of a feeling than anything else.
Prod, are you actually royalty?
Yes, of course I am.
Are
How
you
dare you.
legally royalty?
What does that mean?
Does literally anyone but your vibes say that you are royalty?
I think my vibes are enough. They are credit on their own.
Okay, I stand corrected. We don't have a plan.
Holding the chain lightning spell scroll so tight right now.
I'm pretty sure if you zap me, it's not going to hit Prod.
Just faced my worst nightmare.
Let's head for the workshop.
Okay.
At this point, we can collect Prod.
Okay.
That
You
Prod's
go
coming
and
with.
collect Prod. You head to the workshop, and first thing you notice is that it is once again like completely blacked out. Door is bolted to high heaven. You knock, and Degra sort of pokes an eye out before backing up, unlocking all the doors, and letting you all in. She eyes Prod with a kind of a wary glance. You notice this figure, this dark elf figure, with dark grey skin, almost lavender in sort of tone. Black hair, greasy and stringy and kind of unkempt. She's wearing essentially like leather travel clothes at this point, and the smell, it seems like she's kind of tried to give herself a sponge bath before leaving, but hasn't been very successful about it, because she doesn't seem to have any like fresh water properly around here. There just seems to be like a single tap in the back that maybe hasn't been cleaned in a few years. She looks ready to go, and she turns to you, Darren, and says,
So, which one of you is escorting me?
It's probably best to be Rod, I guess, or since that's ostensibly going to be the quiet side of things, does somebody else want to take that?
I could take it.
Yeah, if you're sure.
I have a good diversion tactic if I need it.
okay.
Okay, I will direct them to the blue-skinned librarian person.
All right.
Not blue-skinned anymore.
Oh, right,
yeah,
yes, that
no.
changed.
Redhead
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. I mean, redhead doesn't
Two
necessarily
redheads
mean not
now.
blue-skinned, but yeah.
True. It's a bit of a clash. Look a bit like a Knack Feegle, but you know.
How dare you? I'm both Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Degra sort of nods and moves to your side, librarian. You notice that she's carrying a heavy satchel over her shoulder. Most of her equipment here in the workshop has been cleared out at this point, or disposed of by the looks of things. The body in the corner is procedurally rotting, and sort of kind of crystallizing in the same frame as
Oh man,
the...
I love procedural systems.
Yes, procedural rot and crystallization is what's happening to this body.
Write down another mod idea.
What, procedural rot?
Yep.
Oh god. Anyway,
You
she
kill a creeper, it takes 3
Degra
weeks
nods
for the body to go.
and goes, I shall. I thank you for your assistance in this matter. In case we don't see each other again, here. And she pulls out this small circular device that she hands to you, Darren. And she goes, if you need to make a quick escape, just press the button on the top and, well, you'll see. And
I usually prefer a little bit more information before I push buttons on magical items, but I will take that under advisement.
And she nods and goes, are we ready to go?
Yep, I'm ready.
Alright, I will disguise.
Okay, so you disguise self as Degra. Degra herself pulls a heavy hood over her face, and turns to you, librarian, and gestures for you to move forward. So we're going to start with Darren's side of things, and then we'll move to you, librarian. As you all exit the shop together, you, Prod, and Ingvar flanking the fake Degra, you, librarian, walking with the real Degra, hooded. You proceed along the street in opposite directions. You on Darren's side of the party, somebody roll me a perception check.
My perception's only +1.
I don't remember because I can't get the sheet to my phone. Where's the Lord? How do I just hit the button? No,
As it goes, Larry.
I only have a 30.
A 30? Perfect. DM, they got a 30.
13. That would be a +1 as well, I believe.
But I roll 20 does not like mobiles.
Well, Elfie, how's your perception looking?
Probably pretty bad. Sorry. Perception. No. That would be 16.
16, so you,
16's the best we got.
yeah? Okay, so with a 16, I will say that after like a good 10 blocks of walking through the city, eventually, Prod, you start to feel like something's wrong.
Vibes are off, gang.
You start, you don't like look around, but you kind of glance over your shoulder, and while the crowd's like moving to and fro, you see two cloaked figures that are kind of like on both sides of the streets, are just like slowly following your group specifically. As they sort of home in on you. They're a good 30 feet behind you, but they're definitely following you.
Uh-oh.
They're not being subtle about it.
I point this out to everybody immediately. Guys, behind us. Look.
Huh?
Look!
I discreetly glance in that direction.
So you see both figures are relatively tall, so they stand out in a city of dwarves, but not enough to be like majorly a worry. But one of them is like hood up, dark blue cloak. You notice like they look like a mage of some sort. They have a bandana wrapped around the lower half of their face. You glance out of your eye and you notice that they have like what looks like golden eyes, which is a bit weird. You look the other way and you notice what looked to be like someone with a crossbow strapped to their back, and again hooded, mouth covered. Their eyes also glowing this sort of golden color.
Hmm.
I feel like this isn't a good thing.
You are probably correct.
Should we go down an alleyway and prepare for ambush? Or should we just press on?
For the moment, we'll press on. The more time we can buy, the more time Degra has to get out of here.
Okay. So you two, you three all stick to sort of the main thoroughfare until eventually you manage to you start getting closer and closer to sort of the main road straight out of the city, the big gate in front. The two figures sort of keep pace with you. They don't get closer. They don't get further away. Eventually, you make it to the gate. the figures sort of as you guys step towards the gate, the figures start to close in on you. You do notice that there's a few guards posted around the gate area. But the figures are starting to battle the crowd to get to you. They seem to have left this to the last minute.
Okay.
What do you do? You can step
before-
out.
I'm
you
presuming the
can-
second that Prod gets to the gate, there's going to be alarm bells ringing.
Probably,
Yeah.
yes.
What we could do is we could just hang around by the gate, like in a really suspicious way, like we're gonna head out, but then we don't, and that's just gonna draw loads of people here, but it's not actually gonna mean we've done anything wrong.
Is there any kind of like paperwork to be handed in at the gate? Like a passport or something?
No, generally speaking, no. Though you do
Travel
notice that the moment that Prod starts towards the gate, one of the guards sort of starts tracking the bracelet.
Right. I'm gonna start patting down my pockets and whatnot, and looking through things, seeing it, making sure, looking like I'm trying to make sure I've got everything.
Mm-hmm.
Documents and whatnot.
Yeah. The two figures, the crossbowman sort of stops. The mage keeps moving, but heads around you.
They're trying to flank us?
They're
make sure we're not
keeping a
doing
good, like,
anything
15 feet perimeter around the edge, essentially.
Only 15 feet away?
It's not a wide... Well, it's a wide street, but, like, it's about, like, maybe 50 feet across. 15 feet is a decent, like, amount of space when there's a good, like, 10 to 12 people between you and them, you know?
And yet, people still just don't wear masks. Right, I'm gonna try and keep up this this charade as long
Okay.
as I can until they try and start something, or at least look like they're about to try and start something. At which point, I'm going to shove Prod towards the gate and hopefully set off an alarm.
So as this mage figure skirts around you, he heads towards the gate, and then he darts off to the side and starts talking to one of the guards. And
I'm
the-
gonna just pretend. Prod's gonna pretend like he's saying a long goodbye to an old friend and being just very melodramatic about it, like, "Oh, I'll miss you. I can't believe this." Putting on a
Okay.
real show.
Yeah, eventually this mage figure, as you're watching, Darren, out of the corner of your eye, because you've got the alert feat, I'm allowing this. As you're watching, you
Really
see...
pays for itself, that feat.
Hmm?
Really pays for itself, that feat.
Yeah, apparently. Wish you didn't have it. It'd make things easier. No. You watch as eventually, like, the mage figure palms a few coins to the guard. And the guard sort of looks around, pockets them, whistles 2 other guards, and starts heading in your direction.
I'm going to shove Prod towards the gate.
Okay. As Prod stumbles, do you let yourself get shoved, Prod, or...
I sort of see this coming. I make a big thing out of pretending that I'm trying to stay out of the gate, and then I'm falling back.
Okay.
Make a real big dramatic thing of it.
the
Make sure that as
moment-
many people in the vicinity can see what's going on.
The moment that cuff hits the sort of the dividing line between this side of the gate and the other, you feel your arm freeze. And it feels horrible as this form of static just starts crawling down your arm. You, Darren, watch as, like, across the gate, this sort of sheen of magic comes across. It's like getting tasered, except you're being tasered from every part of your body, Prod.
Ow.
As you
Ow!
and you like two large bells sort of start swinging above, and three of the guards immediately start running towards you, and the other two who were standing around start to move towards you, Darren, having seen you do this. The mage starts to move in as well, and you feel, you look behind and you see the crossbowman has unholstered this crossbow and pulled back this very dangerous looking bolt, as they all sort of start to converge on you all. Pretty quickly, we're gonna move to Degra and the librarian. The librarian and Degra are moving up to the second or third flight of this central pillar when they start to hear the bells go off. This heavy tolling sound that sounds out across the city. At that point, Degra looks over and goes, "Well, time to go." And you two start sprinting up the airship ramps. I would like you to roll me a perception check, please, librarian.
Okay, I would also like to cast Expeditious Retreat.
Mm-hmm.
Perception, yeah.
Yep.
That is a 5. Wow, I'm rolling bad.
You don't spot anything until you feel a hand on your shoulder as you're casting Expeditious Retreat. This figure appears out of the darkness, out of an alcove, grabs your shoulder and pulls you in. Degra keeps running, but you suddenly feel this hand on your shoulder, and a finger is put to your lips, and they go, "Shh." And you look around, and there's nobody there. You turn around. You felt a hand on your shoulder. You felt a finger on your lips. You turn around. There is no one in the alcove with you.
I flip on my magic vision. Is there someone invisible?
There is no magic here.
Okay, I'm gonna go out of the alleyway now. Divine intervention or the wind.
You step out of the alcove, and you see a figure in blue, in a blue cloak, a really dark blue cloak, rush past. They just rush past the alcove as you step out. You see that they have two knives out of their belt, and they are running up after Degra.
Whoa.
Having already cast Expeditious Retreat, I outpace them, presumably?
You
To
can
catch up to
outpace
Degra?
them. You can. I mean, yes, but as a note, they seem to be running after Degra, and they have not spotted you.
Chain lightning. I can take out Degra and this man at the same time. No,
Degra's
I'm
a good
gonna-
30 feet ahead at this point.
Yeah, I'm gonna use my bonus action to basically take my full movement, and then also use my action to cast Eldritch Blast on this guy.
Okay. Roll me an attack.
Yippee! The first one is a 29,
That'll definitely hit.
and the second one is a 13.
That will miss.
Damn rogues. Okay, first damage, 15 force damage to them.
15 force damage. As they're sprinting up, drawing these knives out, you immediately unleash a blast of eldritch energy, this bluish white light, into their back. They stumble forward, stop, turn around, and you can see this sort of like covered face and these glowing golden eyes stare back at you. You hear a as they bring out these wicked-looking black blades and immediately start to go for you instead. Back down in the town, Librarian, 2 guards are heading for you, 3 guards are heading for Prod, the mage is heading for Ingvar, and the crossbowman is pulling back this horrible-looking black arrow, essentially.
Where does he seem to be pointing?
He hasn't aimed it yet.
Okay. Because, reminder, I am currently about a foot or two. I look about a foot or two taller than I actually am.
Yes. You look about 2 feet taller than you actually are.
Yeah, so if he's aiming for, like, upper chest area or
He will
higher,
have disadvantage.
he will absolutely miss. Okay. Now is the time where I get dramatic, I suppose, and start calling attention to myself and such.
Mm-hmm.
So I will start yelling at the guards and, like, pointing fingers markedly at Prod and just trying to, like, grab Prod's arm to, like, get away from the gate. It's like, oh, this again! Oh, come on! You're completely worthless. This is why I'm locating.
Okay.
I make a big fuss of like, oh well, I got stumbled. I'm sorry. I'm dyspraxic.
Okay. So you you don't really have an ability to speak right now, Prod.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're being electrocuted.
Yeah, you're basically getting tasered. It doesn't feel great.
You can kind of make almost whimpering noises, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Assuming that your lungs are still working.
I really play it up.
Yeah.
It doesn't need that much playing up, but I play it up.
Eventually, you get. Eventually, one of the dwarves reaches you and pulls you back out of this like field of like static electricity, and goes, "What the hell were you thinking, getting this close?" Two of them start manhandling you back out of the gate. As this is happening, the two other dwarves sort of stop as they're approaching you, Librarian, and kind of a little confused now as they're not Librarian, Darren.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
As they're sort of approaching you, but the mage is still like approaching you, sort of trying to subtly get within like a foot of you, and is going to attempt to cast a lovely little spell on you.
On whomst?
On
is he trying to grab you?
Darren.
Oh no.
If this is a touch spell, it's disadvantage, as we've established.
Yes, it is a touch spell. I need to find the right. Where is it? Under. Hold on. I've skipped it. Oh, here we go. Yes. He's going to attempt to cast Shocking Grasp on you. Which is going... well, first he's going to try and grab you, which is going to be a little difficult. He's actually going to have to roll to do Shocking Grasp, which is a bit weird. But that's fine. He's going to roll with disadvantage. So that is a... That is a 7 to attempt to hit. So he goes to grab you. And instead comes up with nothing, with illusion. And as he's staring at his hand, you hear a sound from this creature, because you're not entirely sure that it's human anymore.
Well, at that noise, I will whirl around and like start aggressively patting the person on one shoulder, saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I walk into you? Did you walk into me? Do we need to exchange insurance information? I'm so sorry. There's so much noise at the gate right now, and I'm just trying to subtly back him up a bit."
What, the mage?
Creature. Yeah.
Okay. It
still trying to very loudly draw attention to myself right now.
You're patting him. You're not actually touching him. You're patting him as the illusion would be.
Yeah.
And this creature is getting more and more confused as it's seeing this impact, but it's not feeling anything. And it immediately starts backing away from you. And as it does so, it steps through the gateway.
Oh. So it stepped back towards Prod.
It steps past Prod back through the gate. Immediately, the cloak and the essentially most of its clothing disappears. Illusion, as it were. The gate dissipates illusion magic.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as it steps back through the gates, most of its clothing just vanishes, and what you see is this spindly-looking creature with like heavy, long, drooping arms, almost just a loincloth and a little bit of spiked armor on its shoulders and across its front. It looks almost insectoid. It has these heavy-looking mandibles down the front. Its eyes are this glowing gold color, but there's like 6 of them arranged in a row. It has these massive shoulder sort of like blades that come up past its head. Its head itself is this strange amalgamation of insectoid plating. As it steps back through the illusion, all of the guards sort of jump back as they sort of see this creature appear where there was just before this robed humanoid figure. Now it's like essentially like this massive insectoid thing just appeared out of nowhere. It's got black carapace. It's got this strange blue fluid dripping from its mandibles as well. And it doesn't look particularly pleasant. Yeah, and you hear from behind you as the one holding the crossbow, you hear that one go. And the one in front sort of starts looking around, and then it just bolts. It bolts through the gateway and out of the city as it's sprinting away because it's been discovered. Unless you would like to attempt to chase it down.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
For right now, I'm good. And also, Prod can't leave anyways, so...
Prod can't leave anyways. Everyone around you is kind of staring past this thing. The other one is gonna try and sneak away. What are you guys doing?
I mean, I think we've drawn enough attention at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Did I see the guards getting paid off?
You saw one of them getting bribed, and then he sort of like got the other two to assist him. But the moment that thing showed up, he's just staring, going, "Fuck that," you know.
Okie dokie. Right. I'm gonna like retrieve Prod, just like kind of like seem to dust him off a bit and say, "You okay? You okay?" I think we're done here. I think we can go.
Okay. Aye.
Everyone's kind of a little bit distracted, so if you guys want to roll me a quick stealth check to sneak away, unless you want to chase after the other one who's also sneaking away. Should I?
Do we want to?
Probably. Does he look like he's going to hurt anyone imminently?
He's stowed his crossbow. He's leaving.
Okay, well then no.
Okay.
That was a 5. I'm going to clank.
You're going to... Well, no, you're not going to clank because you don't get disadvantage. The shadow armor is, you know.
Yeah, but...
8 for me.
8 and 12, was it?
5.
I got 12, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to plus 5.
Plus 5, so 17. So 1 success and 2 failures. As Ingvar manages to sneak a good 30 feet down the road, Darren, you manage to get 10 feet before one of the guards turns from the gate and goes, "Oi!" And you, Prod, with your shiny cuff, which has started glowing, I should add, is it's a little bit hard to sneak away with the glowing cuff. 2 of the guards start running to catch up with you. They're more interested in you, Prod, than they are in Darren. Or Degra.
Yeah, I kind of let Darren just do his thing. I turn to the guards and go, "Oh, it was so horrible," and I just sort of like make a big old show of it. I make a big old like fuss and be like, "Look at what happened to me," and this is how you treat a prince.
Roll me a persuasion or a deception.
Oh, persuasion. Actually, hang on, let me just check. Yeah, they're the same. Come on, dice, be nice to me. That's a 20.
Oh,
Dirty
20.
Oh, dirty
Nice.
20.
Filthy 20.
Filthy 20. Okay. You start sort of extravagantly waving your arms about, making a big fuss of it, and these guards, as like they're instead of trying to catch up to you, they're trying to calm you down. As like, look, just.
Well, I mean, look, you can't be treating princes this way. It's kind of.
I'm so sorry. We didn't know you were royalty, my friend. I will just hold on. Let's just calm. Why is royalty have? Well, I know. I understand. Yes. And one of them like puts taps the bracelet on your hand with this long metal pin, and it stops glowing.
Oh, thank you, my dear boy.
The dwarves sort of go, if you'll just head down to the citadel on the other side of the city at some point, and I'm sure they can sort this whole situation out. And they sort of push you back into the city for a
Yes,
little bit.
I sort of scoop up Darren as I, well, not pick up, but you know what I mean, like, sort of join them and run as far as we can away.
Yeah. Librarian, you are facing off with this navy-cloaked, gold-glowing-eyed being on the ramp upwards to the airship port. It has two blackened blades out and is staring you down. We're actually going to go into initiative for this one.
Okay.
So, give me. What's your? Let's see, I need to. This figure will do. What is? You're going first in this. I'm not going to make you roll for this. What are you?
Well, I got a 21 anyway.
You got a 21. Yeah, fair enough. You'd go first regardless. This is about how far away you are from this figure. We'll use this as a temporary battleground. What are you doing?
Okay, this should help a little bit. I want to cast. Where is it? Where's my spells? Magnify Gravity at 4th level.
At 4th level. Okay.
So if I read this correctly, every level after second plus 1d8. So that means I get 2d8 plus 3d8. So 5d8 damage that they have to make a con saving throw against.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna make 2 saving throws here.
So that's in a trench coat. I fucking knew it.
That's the assassin saving throw. That's
That
a
fails.
5. Technically that's a 7, but it fails nonetheless. This is the saving throw for the walkway underneath him.
Oh. It also fails.
That also fails?
Yeah, I spelled the save DC of 18.
Yeah, even with the +4 that would go on that does fail. You press Magnify Gravity down on this stretch of walkway. Unfortunately, you've pressed it down right in the middle of the arch between 2 pillars. You hammer it down into the floor. This creature suddenly goes like flat on the floor, and then the floor just kind of breaks out from under him and drops. You're about 200 feet up at this point.
Better
You
start running.
step back from this area. As I will say, you've essentially made like a 25-foot gap between this like thing. There is no way to get past it anymore. Degra is on the other side and still heading up. You can't get there anymore because you've made a massive hole. But Degra is gone, as far as you know, and as far as you know, they're safe.
Okay. So I can't get to it anymore? Is that what you're saying?
You can, but you would need to go round the other side of the pillar, and it would take you a little bit of time. And by that point, Degra's probably going to be long gone.
I think I was reversing. I thought I was ahead of it because I.
No, you're lower on the line. You're lower on the.
Yeah, now I can see it. Yeah, because otherwise I would have used my movement first, then done that.
But yeah, you step to the edge of this area, and you see essentially like you look down and you see this massive like broken stone on like one of the lower ramps. No corpse.
I mean, do I roll damage or?
I mean, you can roll damage if you like, but
I'm gonna roll damage
regardless of
because it makes me feel slightly better.
Sure, roll me damage, and we'll see how much damage this creature takes from the magnified gravity, specifically.
26.
26 points of damage. That's good. You look down and there is no corpse. There's just broken stone. You do see a single black dagger embedded in the stone down there, but there is no body.
Wait, we're like 200 feet up.
Mm-hmm.
Am I looking down from 200 feet up to see a dagger?
You can see like the barest glint of like the
okay.
blade. I mean, it's straight down. It's not like there's anything obstructing your view.
The horizon. I can't see the
yes,
end of
the horizon on there's a vertical horizon. Yes, the world in this world is I don't know, like some form of like ridiculous geometrical shape with like multiple layers of tubes. I don't know. Okay. Anyway,
yeah, I guess I can't use my movement or anything.
If you want to try and jump the 25-foot gap that's ahead of you, you can, but...
You know, I do have Expeditious Retreat, and I haven't used my movement or my bonus action, so I have a lot of speed I can build up, I guess.
Okay. You can roll me an acrobatics check to do this if you want to attempt a 25-foot horizontal leap.
I feel like I have a good 10-foot vertical leap in.
Yeah?
Oh my god.
No, I'm not that silly.
Okay. You're not goldfish levels of silly.
No, I did a flip today. That was my little funny haha moment after being traumatized.
Fair enough. Yeah. You all, you on the ground managed to skirt away from everything that's going on. Managed to extricate yourselves with quite the persuasive check. And you, librarian, look down as
Bot.
Yep, bot. Hold on. Ban. There we go. You look down and you can see just broken stone, remnants of architecture. You get the feeling that someone might come looking for that at some point.
Oh, for the dagger or the broken bridge?
For the broken bridge. The sense that you should probably make yourself scarce at some point is growing.
Yeah, I guess I'll slowly make my way around the pillar to try and meet up with her on the other side.
Okay, so you go back down because the way these roads are sort of arranged, it's like a double helix around the pillar essentially. They cross over on specific landings and then go onwards and upwards.
It will be twice as fast though.
You will be twice as fast. You head up around the other side, a couple of rotations up, until you reach the lowest level of the airship platforms, where you actually see Degra speaking to a airship captain or an attendant of some sort. You reach her, and as you hear her saying, "Yes, I need passage to far eastern, just over the shallow seas." And you hear the captain go, Yeah, all right, we can do that. That's no trouble. We're gonna go down south first, and then we're gonna go across. And she's like, "Oh, yes, that would be fine. As long as we're in the air." And she turns around as you approach her, and you notice that she turns around when she hears you approach. She's holding this small silver syringe, and she relaxes when she sees it's just you. She goes, "Oh, I lost you back there. What happened?"
I collapsed a bridge to protect you. Don't worry about it.
Small things, you know.
A bridge? You
Probably won't be paperwork.
okay? That's
Infrastructure is
were
replaceable. Your human life is fine. I could only see one, but I don't think they would have been able to follow you over that route, fortunately.
I think there were only ever 4. And I'm fairly certain I killed one of them. But what they are, I'm not entirely certain. Thank you, my friend. Here.
No worries.
For your trouble. And she sort of pulls a small coin purse out of a belt pouch and hands it to you. It says, I realize that I haven't paid you for this service, and, well, this might just about do.
I'm very sorry, actually. I take out the index and give her a wee form for the library. I'm actually a public servant, so this is just,
Well,
But I appreciate it.
She takes the form and looks it over and goes, well, I already... And she pulls out a small card and holds it up between 2 fingers. You notice the symbol of the library on one side.
Oh, that's perfect. I have another one for that, and I give her the summer reading list for kids.
She accepts it, looks it over, and goes, this is
Remember to mark them off with the stamps.
She looks up at you. She goes, this is surprisingly up to date. Thank you. She tucks it into her satchel, turns to the captain next to her and goes, when can you leave? And he goes, well, we're leaving now. Up on board. And they turn, and she turns back to you and goes, tell your companions thank you. And I realize you're a public servant, but please, take this anyway. And she hands you this.
I'm sure the others will like it. Thank you to
And she says, farewell, my friend. And they disappear up the gangplank of this small-looking cargo airship.
As I wave my hand to say goodbye, I cast guidance on her.
Okay.
Oh, that's so cute.
You cast guidance, and as the ship's engines sort of spin to life, these massive arcane mechanisms on the outside edge of the ship, and these pair of almost like junk-style sails, triangular, sort of flare out, and the ship levitates into the air out through this large open porthole in the ceiling and off, heading south. As you bid her adieu, you look in the pouch, and there's about 200 gold worth of gems in there, assorted gemstones.
Your earthly money has no meaning for me. 200 gold worth of gems.
Yeah. And that's where we're going to leave it for the evening, everybody. We'll come back to this next time. Thank you all very much for joining us this evening. I hope you all had fun. I certainly did. I have realized that I forgot to start the YouTube side of this stream, but that's fine. I'll just...
We can just do it all again.
YouTube doesn't need to know.
We did a
We'll
lot
do
of
it live. We'll do it
bureaucracy.
live.
Everyone thumb a few pages back in your script, we'll get on this the right way.
What script? My god.
Lucian, you of all
Okay,
people know
so-
these are all scripted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the original
If-
script
if
has
this
chain
was-
lightning and kills it.
Yeah.
If this
we have-
was
we have- we have to
scripted-
revise that.
If this was scripted, I don't know why anyone would watch it. This was awful.
That's the whole
Uh,
bridge.
You have to give your protagonists bad roles, or else people will think that they're never going to be, like, challenged.
Uh-huh. Okay. Alright. Ladies, gentlemen, and all variations thereof, thank you all very much for joining us this evening. I hope you had fun. I did. I had fun. I hope my players had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go raid a TB Sliver, who's doing some satisfactory. Thank you all very much for joining us, everyone. We are unable to raid TB Sliver at this time. Why is that? What?
Have they turned off raids?
Oh no, we only have one person watching. That's why.
Oh.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's probably a Luca.
Thank you all very much for joining us, everyone. Have a very good evening and a very good night, and we shall see you all